So, you're thinking about becoming a homeowner in the Houston, Texas area. Today, we're going to review the entire process to buying a home, everything that's entailed, what's going to happen, when those things are going to happen. So, let's jump into it right now. Hi, my name is Troy Tomlinson. I'm a real estate agent here in the Baytown surrounding areas, and I would love to help you make your move to the Houston market. Whether you're looking to make that move today or in the next 10 years or so, I would love to help you out. So check out that contact information below. Give me a call, set up a Zoom. Let's talk soon. The first step in the home buying process is, of course, reaching out to your favorite real estate agent. Now, some mortgage people will argue this, but in my case, give me a call, then we'll go from there. Once you have your real estate agent picked out, that real estate agent is going to connect you with their preferred mortgage professional, right? So the guy that I use is named Clifton Saunders. He does 99% of my buyers. He helps them, figure out their best programs, does, just checks into their entire background to make sure that they qualify for the best program that is available to them, that they are ready, willing, and able to make something happen whenever the time comes. Now, I have plenty of other connections. There's absolutely no requirement to use Clifton, but when push comes to shove, he is the guy that I go to with my questions, and I try and repay that by getting people to use him as their mortgage person because he does know his stuff. So, you got your real estate agent. You got your mortgage professional. Step number 3 is doing the application, right? We know you're going to work with me. I know. You might not know yet. You're going to work with me. We're going to give Clifton a shot. You don't like what Clifton has to say? Talk to your local bank. Talk to 50 other mortgage companies, however you want to do it. But you're going to talk to me. You're going to talk with Clifton, and it's going to be good. Go from there. So that pre-approval process. So the pre-approval is you're going to do an application, right? So you're going to, I'm going to set you up in a group text with Clifton, most likely. You're going to do the application, and then he's going to do a soft credit check. The soft credit check happens. Then he says, okay, your credit is good. Now we need all this information. And he's going to send you a list. It's going to include things like your pay stubs, your last 2 years of tax returns, IDs. If you're a veteran, there's specific items. If you're a divorcee, there's some certain items. So it just really depends on your situation. But Clifton will dive real deep into that with you and give you exactly what he needs to make sure that you get approved, or to get you that best approval possible. Now, you talk to me, you talk to Clifton, you get your pre-approval done, right? That's all going to happen in as little as 24 hours, right? You call me and say, hey, I need a house. In 24 hours, these first 3 things hopefully have happened. You might have some more time to get all of your stuff together, but for the most part, you're going to get all that stuff first day, maybe 2 days. So now you've got your pre-approval. Now, what we can do is go home shopping. Now, what you're going to do for me is you're going to tell me where you want to live. You're going to tell me how big of a house you want to have. You're going to tell me what your monthly payment is, right? You should know what you're financially comfortable with. Right, Clifton's going to tell you you will qualify for X amount, right? So generally speaking, you will qualify for 50% of your income, right? So here's the quick rundown, right? So you're going to say, and I'll do the math on the screen, I guess. So you're going to say, I make X amount of dollars per year, right? So whatever that is. You're going to divide that by 12, and then you're going to divide that in half, and that's going to be a 50% debt to income ratio, and that's what they're going to say is, and when I say they, that's what a mortgage company is going to say you will qualify for. So they're going to take, let's say you make $100,000, you divide it by 12, that's Okay, let's say you make $120,000. You divide it by 12, that's 10,000. You divide it in half, that's 5,000 a month. Now let's say you've got $2,000 in car payments. That's going to come off of your number. So you were at 5, take away the 1,000 for car payments. Now you're at 4,000 a month that they say you could get a house for 4,000 a month. Now, if you're not comfortable with $4,000 a month, we've got to let them know and say, hey, I really want my payment to be X amount. If you only want your payment to be $1,000 a month, tell them that, because they're going to approve you based off of what you're able to get. So you get your pre-approval. You got your list of everything that I need, right? Big house, little house, pool, yard, area, school district, however you want it. I set up a system through HAR, which is our MLS, and it's going to send you an email every single second. If a house hits the market that matches your criteria, you're going to get an email. You're going to get I think I can set it up for text message, but you are going to be notified immediately, and you're going to call me and say, hey, Troy, I want to go see some houses. So we go see some houses. Normally, I limit or try to limit, depending on your situation, max of 6 homes a day. All right, so we say, hey, there's these 6 houses. Let's go see them all. We go see the 6 houses, just like HGTV. Boom, out of the 6, you're done, and then that's it. If only it was that so easy. But we go see 6, talk about what you like, what you don't like. Sometimes that day one, you do have permission to buy a house on day one. Right? I will never force you to buy a house on day one, but a lot of people run into that issue of they'll see that perfect house day one. You know what you want, so we know what we're looking for. So when we see that perfect house, say it's the second or third house that we look at, people say, oh, well, I'll keep looking. And by the time you decide that that's the one you want, it might be gone. So you have permission to buy the first house that you think you like. We are always going to take the next steps to make sure that that house is a good house. So you can talk to any of my past clients. You know, I am never going to sugarcoat anything. We're going to dig into that house and see exactly what's wrong with it, what's good with it, if it's where you want it to be, right? So we look at the houses. Now, we find the house. So you've talked to me. You talked to Clifton. We got our pre-approval. We went house hunting, find the house. We have the house that we want. We write a contract on it. All right, you say, hey, I know your house is $200,000. I'll give you $150,000. Boom, it's ours. Again, if only. But on every single offer we write, I'm going to do the same thing that I do for my listings. I'm going to look at the comparable sales in the area, and I'm going to advise you, hey, this house is worth X amount of dollars. Or, hey, this house might be substantially overpriced. I think we should offer X amount of dollars. Now, everything that I tell you, right, I am your real estate advisor. I advise you, and then you do whatever you want. So, if you want to put an offer in at a low ball number, I am happy to write 2,000 offers for you, provided you're my client. I am happy to write those lowball offers to help you, figure out the best lowball offers to write, if that's your tactic, right? We are moving towards a market where that is an option in some cases. Now, if the house is on the market for a day, or 2 days, or 3 days, or 5 days, or it's the first weekend, I ask the question often, would you cry if you woke up tomorrow and someone else got the house? And that is generally, the deciding factor on if we try and make a deal happen or we try and put the deal together as it sits on the market. Now, you can always get a deal unless somebody else gets the deal first. So, every single instance, every single situation is going to be a little bit different. So we're going to look at each house individually. If it's been on the market for a while, we have a lot more room to play. If it's fresh to the market, you love it, you'd be sad if you missed it, we go for it. We make the best offer that makes financial sense for you. So, We made our offer. They accept our offer, right? Maybe we go back and forth a few times. Offer, counteroffer, offer, counteroffer. Finally settle at the pinpoint where everybody is equally unhappy. And that's a good deal in real estate. As long as you are right at that price point that you're comfortable with, right, as far as your monthly payments are concerned, I'm happy. I never want to push somebody to spend more, and I definitely never advise anybody to spend more than makes sense. And I've had people ask the question, hey, do you think I should buy this house? And my answer as a real estate agent is, of course, you should buy whatever house makes you happy. But I also give them advice of, hey, pretend I'm your cousin, are you going to need to ask me for money later? Because some people, you get that champagne taste, and then you want what maybe you shouldn't get quite yet, right? And that's the beauty of investing in real estate or just buying a home, right? That home purchase is an investment to your future. So you buy this house, you get a different house later, right? There's nothing that says you have to stay there forever. And statistics show that in general, a first-time home buyer is going to live in their home for between 5 and 12 years, right? And 5 years ago, that was different, right? 5 years ago, it was more like 3 to 7, right? So it's extending, but you're going to move. You're going to be okay. And I'm going to help you get there. And when you're ready to make the move again, I'm going to help you then. Right? And I will be there every step of the way. Every single time you need to fight your taxes, right there to help you out. Jumping past the ramblings of my entire thought process. However, you make it, right? We've got our, you talk to me, talk to Clifton, got our pre-approval, pick the house. Now we're under contract right now. Here's where the fun starts. So there's really 3 different things going on at the same time, right? So we have the title company, we have the mortgage company, and then we have, well, let's call it 4 things. We got, the buyer needs to do some stuff. The seller has to get some stuff accomplished. The title company has to get some stuff accomplished. And the mortgage company has to get some stuff accomplished. So let's start with the easy one, right? That's title. So the title company is going to do something called underwriting, right? So they are going to have to do the full underwriting process, and it's called the same thing in mortgage, but they're going to underwrite, basically approve that property, right? And this is what title insurance is, right? They're going to say, based off of anyone who has ever owned this tract of property, we know that it was done legitimately, and they're going to trace it back, until the existence of that piece of property. And they're going to say, you own this property. The person who previously owned the property had the authority to sell you said property. Right? That is what the title company is doing. That is what they're protecting. Now, there's additional coverages you can get, right? Like there's a survey coverage, which says the title company is going to agree, they're going to agree with the survey, and if there is an issue in the future with survey boundaries, things like that, they'll also approve, or they'll, insure that. Now, as far as exactly what's insured, that's going to be a per title policy and per title company issue, I believe. I'm not a title person, don't pretend to be, but I've got my homegirl on speed dial. Shout out to Megan there at Great American. She is phenomenal. And again, just like Clifton, right? I try to work with these same people so that they are communicative to me. Right? I want to know what's happening so that I can make sure that you know what you need to know. And depending on who you are, I tell you every single thing that happens. And then sometimes people don't necessarily want to know. And I just make sure everything goes smooth sailing as far as I can without having to get you involved. So just depends on your personality. And if you prefer it one way or the other, of course, you can let me know specifically. But I'm normally a pretty good read on people. So, but So that title policy, right? They are in the background, right? They're doing research on the people that are selling the house, on the people who used to own the house. They're making sure that the previous title company that provided the previous title insurance did their homework correctly, right? It's a snowball, right? So every time a house gets sold, there's a little bit more work that has to happen. They're going to be making sure that, let's use some of the crazy things that have happened. Let's say somebody's in jail, right? The title company is the one that is going to specifically advise on how everything needs to be signed. So sometimes they'll say, hey, this person needs to sign, they're in jail, you're going to have to get in there in person and get them to sign. Sometimes they'll allow for like mobile notaries to go in. Sometimes they'll allow for somebody to sign in their stead. So that's the title company side, right? They're making sure that who owns the house, and you buying the house will have that protection, right? That safety. And more so, the mortgage company that you're using will have that protection, right? That's the lender's title policy, which is the more expensive one, of course. So that mortgage title policy, that's the one that ensures that the mortgage company gets their money if something were to happen, like issues with the title side. So when you go through a title company, what is insured is that you're getting the home with no liens, nothing, no outstanding great aunt, cousin, uncles that can come and claim that the property's theirs. You get that, just safety net of, protection. And you don't have any option. If you're getting a mortgage, you've got to have title policies pretty much exclusively. I don't know of any ability to go around that, nor should you, right? Because that is probably the most important part of buying a property, is making sure it's yours to be able to own. So that's the title company, right? And they do a lot of little stuff in between, right? They're going to be checking all your information, making sure you are who you are. They do a lot of research on both sides to make sure that who's selling it and who's buying it are on the up and up. So we appreciate them for that. So that's title, right? And that's a very condensed title. I could have, maybe Megan explain it to you better if you wanted some deeper thought. But mortgages, again, Clifton, he's my guy. He can explain it a lot better than me. But basically, what's going to happen? You do your mortgage application. Right? This is way at the beginning. You're going to get him all the documents that you need. And then every once in a while, they're going to call you and say they need some more documents. And they're not out to get you. They don't want you to do something that you think you shouldn't have to do. The mortgage company is saying, we need this done, this done, this done, this done. But that's not Clifton, right? That's his underwriter. Right? So I'm sure Clifton or any lender would be happy to go back to, pre-2008 when you just said, yeah, make $1 million and buy a $10 million house and deal with the consequences later, because then they'd get paid and it'd all be fine and dandy. So the job of that underwriter is to ask all the questions, right? If there's red flags that pop up with your employment, if there's red flags that pop up with literally anything to do with the mortgage process, right? The mortgage company's job is to make sure that you are highly qualified to purchase a home. And then the title company, of course, works in conjunction with the mortgage company when it gets closer to the end and does a whole lot of paperwork. They do what's called balancing. That's where they're saying, hey, this costs X amount, this costs X amount. And the mortgage company looks at it and the title company looks at it. I don't know how it's supposedly different at all ever, but it seemed like it'd be pretty straightforward. But there's always, a couple of hours at least of them going back and forth to balance the CD. So that's, title and the mortgage, right? They're just doing a bunch of paperwork, right? Making sure that you are who you say you are, making sure you're highly qualified for it. Now, the seller has a job too, right? The seller's job is to get all of their stuff ready so that they can move out. And some of that involves buying a new house, right? So anything could happen with that seller where maybe pushing back the closing date would be beneficial to them, or closing earlier or whatever, right? So it's always good to keep an open mind, right? And we can discuss compensation from seller to buyer, buyer to seller, with the change of a timeline. But it's, whenever we write a contract, it's normally for 30 to 45 days, depending on the loan type, sometimes longer, sometimes a lot shorter. But you always write a date that is when it is expected to close by, but nobody wants to get 31 days into a deal and it fall apart when it could close on day 32, unless somebody showed up with a whole bunch more money. But you don't want to, get so stuck in your mindset that you buy all new furniture for your house and get it all scheduled to be delivered on the day that we're supposed to close 2 weeks ahead of time. So just hold off, right? You will have plenty of time to move into your house. And again, we're going to be as open in communication as possible so that you know when it's safe to do, get that furniture set up to get moved, set up your movers, do all that kind of stuff. So a lot of times you're also on the time crunch, so I understand, and I'm happy to help make that process as easy as possible. But just being open-minded, staying flexible to when things can happen is always a good idea. So, title and mortgage, they're working, they're doing everything. Seller, making sure that they have everything in line, the same thing that you're kind of doing for their next deal, so that it doesn't cause any concerns with our deal. You, as a buyer, your job is to, when the title company calls, you answer. When they need things, you get it to them. When I call and I need things, you get it done. Because, again, everybody has to have their own paperwork done. You are the middle piece there, right? Everybody needs something from you. Now, it's not generally a whole lot of work, but it's a more of like, they need you to get, marriage history. Sometimes they'll need, past marriage license, divorce decrees, things like that. I, as your real estate agent, am happy to help you gather any information. You just have to respond to the mortgage company, to the title company. They will all need something from you. And they're going to CC me, generally. So make sure that if you need help gathering anything, right? I make lots of phone calls on the daily. I am happy to have some of those phone calls be devoted to getting you the things you need, right? Whether it's calling your past employers that you don't want to talk to try and get your, verifications of employment done faster, or, calling companies that have caused issues in the past, whatever it is, I'm happy to make those phone calls to make your deal happen, because the same thing with everybody else involved. Mortgage company doesn't make money till you close. Title company doesn't make money till you close. I don't make money till you close. So us three, right, mortgage, title, agent, are on the same team to get you to that closing table. Now, again, just to reiterate, your job as the buyer is to do everything that us three ask. And again, I am helping you get the things from both parties, but I need your cooperation in helping me get those things, right? Some companies won't talk to me unless you give them permission to talk to me. So we can get that settled, but I need your help in the front end so that I can take care of you in the back end. So that's kind of the process, right, as far as generally what's going on. Now, the actual, setup for the process, right? So you go in, you have your pre-approval. We've gotten approved. We are under contract on a house. And then we're going to do what is called an inspection, right? So all that other stuff, right, mortgage, title, they're all figuring all their stuff out in the background. But we're going to have to get an inspection done on the house. Again, I work with one guy. His name's Troy Claveman with Full House Inspections. That sounds right. He does inspections for probably 92% of all of my clients, and does all my personal inspections. Again, you are not required to use him. I don't gain anything from you using him other than open communication, and I know he does a good job. So, Troy, great guy. We're going to get the inspection done. Troy's going to send us the inspection. He's going to say, here's the problems that I found. Me and you are going to sit down, or me and you and your spouse or whoever you're buying the house with are going to sit down and go through that inspection report line by line. We're going to say, here's X problem. Here's Y problem. What do you want to do about that problem? Okay, we put it in a list, send it to the listing agent, and figure out what they're willing to take care of, right? And again, every single situation is going to be a little bit different. So I will advise you, based on the information that we get, based on the particular deal that we're in, my advice might differ from person to person, right? There's no, if it was all the same every single time, you wouldn't need me. But it's different. Different issue, every single deal. Absolutely. So you get that inspection. We go back and forth again, just like in the beginning. Both parties are unhappy. That's a good sign that it's a good deal. We make it happen. Now we've got it inspected. Now we move on to the next process, which is the appraisal. Now, if the house is very new or very clean looking, sometimes we'll do these things simultaneously to make it close faster. But getting that appraisal, that is that third party, right? That is, and through your mortgage company, they have a third party company that is going to assign a random appraiser to our deal. Now that appraiser goes out, they say the house is worth X amount of dollars. Normally we're good to go because, again, I do the numbers up front. But if there's some other issue, again, back and forth, we come to some new agreement, we proceed. Along those timelines somewhere, if there hasn't been a survey done, we get a survey ordered. Normally the title company can help us get that done, but the survey gets ordered. Sometimes it's required to be paid up front. Generally, we can get it paid at closing. It's one of those contract terms where, sometimes the seller pays it, sometimes the buyer pays it. So we'll get there. So we talk to me. I'll connect you to this lender. Got our pre-approval. Found the house. Went under contract on the house. Got the appraisal done. Got the inspections done. Got the survey done. Now, right, all of everything that's been happening, right? Title company, mortgage company, you, the seller, everybody gets everything that they need done, right? All contingencies are met. The sellers know where they're going. The buyer, you know where you're going. You've gotten what's called a clear to close from your lender. Then that's when they move to the balancing stage, right? Everything's under control. This balancing happens normally within like 3 days till the closing table. Sometimes it happens a lot sooner and we're just waiting to close. Sometimes it's a couple hours before we're supposed to close and we get it cranked out and close anyway. But normally it's going to be about 3 days before when they'll start balancing. So then you'll know the check amount that you need to get. You'll go get your check. In some cases you don't need to check. Maybe sometimes you get money back at the closing table. But you get your check and then we meet at the title company at the agreed upon time. The seller and buyer pretty much never close together anymore, but sometimes that can be arranged if you for some reason wanted it to be. But it's generally a better idea to close and then you can talk to the seller if you've got any choice words to say. So that's the process of buying a house, right? So if you have any questions about any portion of this, let me know. Drop a comment down below if there's any questions you have on any specific portion. If you have any questions about maybe something I didn't cover, or there's specific verbiage that you've seen somewhere that you don't quite understand, I can, to a certain extent, explain the contract. I'm not allowed to advise legalese, right? You would need to have a real estate attorney take a look at anything like that, but for a basic outline, I am able to help. So if you have any questions, again, that contact information is down below. Make sure that you give me a call. We can set up a Zoom meeting. However you best communicate, I would love to help you make that entire transaction smooth.